Genshin Impact's very own Eula is set to come back once again in 2.3, and today we're going to be going over exactly everything you need to be doing to maximize her hyper carry potential, because honestly, why else would you be here? Don't worry, we have your back today when we go over Eula. Eula is a tremendous physical attacker, starting with Favonius Bladework Adele, at 5 consecutive strikes that actually lands 7 times with high multipliers between each hit. She is nothing to be trifled with on the battlefield. However, the brunt of her damage is going to come from Ice Tide Vortex, as well as her Elemental Burst Glacial Illumination. Glacial Illumination has an 80 energy cost with a 20-second cooldown and has a very large initial multiplier, but the story does not end there. You can increase the damage of your Elemental Burst by landing consecutive attacks in this 7-second window to sort of charge your Lightfall Sword, which you will be able to see behind Eula during that 7-second period. In addition to her Elemental Burst, you also have the elemental skill Ice Tide Vortex that has its own mechanic, the Grimheart stacks. There's 2 versions of Ice Tide Vortex, a press version and a hold version. The hold version has an 8-second cooldown, and the press version has a 4-second cooldown. The press version will give you a stack of Grimheart, and the hold version will consume your stacks of Grimheart. You can consume up to 2 stacks of Grimheart, and when you do, you will do additional damage based on each stack, and also reduce the physical and cryo resistance of enemies around you by up to 25%, which caps out at talent level 10. Eula's elemental skill and elemental burst are further enhanced from her 2 ascensions, the first one being Rolling Rhyme. If you consume 2 stacks of Grimheart while in the hold mode of Ice Tide Vortex, a Shatterfall Lightfall Sword will be created that will explode immediately, doing 50% of the base physical damage of her Elemental Burst, Glacial Illumination. And this is the trickiest part of Eula, so let's cover it. It's going to be Eula's combo. You're going to want to get 2 stacks of Grimheart, ideally before you activate your Elemental Burst, and you want to use those stacks before you activate your Elemental Burst as well. So we're going to get 1 stack there. You can see the sword. If you didn't see it, you need to double check in combat, swap to another character, swap back to Eula, you'll see that sword there. Get our 2nd stack there, wait a couple seconds, and then we're going to initiate our combo. We're going to drop this Elemental Burst, which gives us a stack, and a reset. So we can get another stack here, and we'll start auto attacking to get extra stacks of Lightheart Sword, and then we'll use our double stack once again. Ba-boom, pa-pow, boom, didn't create HP lock, all that fun stuff. This combo allows you to reset the long 8-second cooldown on the hold version, and then quickly get instantly 2 stacks again, only to dump both those stacks in for even more damage. This will leave you with an 8-second cooldown on that second use before you can Elemental Burst again. However, let's talk about some constellations to help you fix that. The 2 constellations anyone even needs to think about for Eula: Constellation 1, Untitled Illusion. When you consume Grimheart stacks, you're going to get 30% physical damage increase for 6 seconds per stack consumed, and you can increase this duration all the way up to 18 seconds, which is a nice sort of cushiony DPS bonus for Eula. However, Constellation 2, Lady of Seafoam, is going to be the quality of life constellation for this character. It makes the hold and press version of her elemental skill the same. They will both be 4 seconds. That way, if you want to be a little bit more lazy with how you use Eula, or if you want to use a particular artifact set, which we're about to get into, this one makes it much more easy. The other ones are pretty much overkill bonus damage with Lightfall Swords, as well as Glacial Illumination, starting with extra stacks and hitting for millions and millions of damage. If you want to make some nice YouTube highlight, TikTok-esque videos, hey, you want to dump all that money in here, go for it. No one's going to be blaming you there, except maybe your significant other. When it comes to artifact sets, there's only 2 sets you need to think about. The first one is going to be the Pale Flame set, which did come out with Eula's patch. This is going to give you 2 pieces of increased physical damage by 25%, and then the 4 piece is going to give you 9% attack every single time you hit an enemy with an elemental skill, and it will stack up to 2 times for a total of 18% attack. If you have this 18% attack, it's going to double the effect of that 25% physical damage bonus, leaving you with 50% physical damage bonus and 18% attack. However, this buff only lasts 7 seconds, but sadly we know that her elemental skills hold version has an 8-second cooldown. So if you ever use that 8-second cooldown hold and you don't reset it with the elemental burst, then you're gonna have the loss of this 4-piece set. And her Elemental Burst has that very lengthy 20-second cooldown. So to use this set at C0, you're either losing the physical damage bonus or you're not using the whole diversion of her elemental skill as much as possible, which is also a DPS loss. Either way, you're losing DPS for the Pale Flame set if you're Constellation 0. However, fear not, there is going to be a very nice set that you can pair with the Pale Flame. And that is going to be none other than the Blood-Stained Chivalry set. The 2-piece for this is also 25% physical damage. So if you combine both of these 2 pieces, you will have 50% physical damage in total. You just won't have that extra 18% attack, but you will have this physical damage 50% 100% of the time. So if you don't want to have to deal with using your hold, using your press, resetting it with the Elemental Burst, losing DPS in one way or the other, do double 2-piece if you're Constellation 0. Now, as far as the main stats and subsets for these artifacts, you're gonna have an attack percent sans, a physical damage bonus goblet, and some sort of crit circlet there. The substat focus is gonna be crit chance, crit damage, attack percent, and a small little bit of energy recharge. You're gonna be wanting to aim for a 2-to-1 ratio on your crit damage to crit rate. So if you have 50% crit chance, you're going to want to have 100% crit damage. If you have 70% crit chance, you're going to want to have 140% crit damage. You don't want to have 285% crit damage and 30% crit chance. You might look cool every once in a while doing that, but mathematically you are really doing yourself a disservice. Like really, just don't. It actually should be illegal to do so. As far as weapons are concerned, Eula is not a picky girl. If it helps your attack, helps your crit chance, your crit damage in one way or the other, she's going to want to use it. The Serpent Spine is a fantastic weapon for her, as always, increasing both her physical as well as her cryo damage. But if you have some 5-star weapons like the Unforged, the Wolf's Gravestone, these are going to be fantastic options for you as well. I would not recommend this something like the Skyward Pride with the energy recharge. You're really wanting to get bonus attack, bonus damage, bonus crit rate. So 4-star weapons like the Serpent Spine, like the Blackcliff weapon, are both fantastic options. If you need to fall back to it, you don't have any of these things laying around, the Snow Tomb Star Silver or the crafted prototype Archaic are also fantastic weapons for you. The Lithic Blade is generally a pretty great weapon, but the traditional Eula parties don't have a lot of characters from Leeway in them, which really sort of diminishes the power of the free attack and crit rate in this weapon. Yeah, you might have Zhongli in there, but most of the characters that Eula likes to play with, they're all from Inazuma or they're from Mondstadt. And speaking of characters that Eula likes to play with, she's not very picky there either. First and foremost, you are going to want to have some sort of electro character. The first 3 that come to mind that you should be looking for: Raiden Shogun, if you have access to her, fantastic character, as it also allows you to buff up the elemental burst damage of Eula's very expensive elemental burst, while also providing Superconduct and some damage on the side with her own elemental burst. If you don't have access to her, don't worry, there's a fantastic character to use with her in the form of Beidou. This is the Claymore Queen's comp, as I like to call it, and this is going to allow you to sort of give yourself an extra shield with your own elemental skill, doing damage with perfect counters, but the main focus here is Stormbreaker. The most broken thing about Beidou, you're going to be sending little lightning strikes flying around everyone, and you're going to have Superconduct and a large AoE damage from Stormbreaker at the same time. If neither of these characters are in your wheelhouse, look no further than Fischl. Oz is going to be there applying Superconduct every single day, all of the time. Additionally, 2 very popular characters to run in a Eula team is another cryo character. The one most seen often is going to be Diona, as she can both shield and heal for your team at the same time. However, the real reason she's here and is so good is because she's that second cryo character, giving you cryo resonance, which gives you bonus crit rate if you are fighting either frozen or just chilled targets, which means if enemies are just afflicted with the cryo status, you're gonna get that free 15 crit chance. On top of that, she also applies very large shields as well as heals to your character. In addition to that, she has some movement increases, and also the most important thing is that she's a fantastic battery with either Sacrificial or Favonius Warbow using her skill Icy Pause. This generates a large amount of particles. You can either reset it or build a crit rate Favonius Warbow Diona to fulfill the energy needs for Eula's very hungry 80 cost elemental burst. However, if crit rate is your game, then Rosaria is your main, because you're going to get that ×2 cryo resonance from Rosaria as well, but with her own Ascension passive, Shadow Samaritan. When you use her elemental burst, she's going to give 15% of her crit rate to everyone else, which means you can get 15% from the cryo resonance and 15% here for 10 seconds, which is going to allow you to go ahead and build in all crit rate Rosaria and throw out a significant amount of crit rate to your Eula, 30% for 10 seconds. That's more than enough time to make sure that your Elemental Burst has a significant boost to crit rate. Other popular characters, Zhongli, physical resistance down, cryo resistance down with a giant shield, petrification, can't take damage. It's just all good in the hood with Zhongli here. And then on top of that, Albedo Zhongli team composition. Altogether, you're gonna have ×2 Geo. They're gonna both increase their damage. And then Eula and your Electro character are gonna be doing what they need to do. So this gives you a very solid team composition to run rampant in Genshin Impact. I hope you enjoyed.